The next thing we do, and unfortunately I can't show you in here because of the hall, what you would normally do next, you would bounce the light up off the ceiling. The trouble is that ceiling's far too high and you wouldn't see any difference even if I did that. You wouldn't even see our face, so I cannot actually illustrate it. The problem with bouncing it off a ceiling, there's two problems. One is that if the flash is fixed to your camera and you move in fairly close, the angle you're throwing the light up at and the angle it comes back down, the light is going to go behind her. You need approximately 45-degree angle at the ceiling. So you need 45 degrees up from the model and 45 degrees back to the light. If you close that down, then the light will not get on the full face. It'll cast shadows under the eyebrows and all the rest of it. The second problem, and this is perhaps an even bigger problem, you may think your ceiling is white. It may have been white a year ago, but it'll be off-white now. What happens if you have a coloured ceiling, a yellow ceiling or a pink ceiling? Well, that's the colour of light you would get back. So if you put white light up onto a pink ceiling, you're going to get pink light coming back onto the girl. So it's not the easiest method. What you do use is you use umbrellas. There are several kinds of brolly. And a lot depends on your flash gun. A lot depends on your flash gun. You can get what's called a solid umbrella. Now what a solid umbrella is, it's virtually where it says it is. Where no light actually penetrates the umbrella. If I turn this to you, there is no light penetrating that umbrella. It's not throwing any light through that. The other kind of brolly you use, or can use, is called a soft brolly. Now with a soft brolly, there is light actually comes through the lens, through the brolly towards you. So if we ask Celia to stand up a second, because the first thing I do is, just move forward on, you get rid of the shadow. One of the ways you get rid of the shadow is to move the model about 6 feet from the background. And any light, the shadow will fall down behind her rather than on the paper. Now with an umbrella, you are using an umbrella exactly the same as a ceiling. You are bouncing light into it and it's the reflected light coming back you are using. So the flash head is actually pointing away from Celia and it's pointing into the umbrella. Bouncing back from the umbrella, as you can see by that. The first thing we've done is we've eliminated the shadow on the background. Secondly, if you look at Celia's face, if Celia just looks at the camera, if you look, this side of the face is now lit, but that side is in shadow. There's some nice shadows going up that side of the face. So you get a roundness, you get a form and a shape to the face rather than just a very flat lighting which we had before. The thing you must remember about using a soft brolly, the reason you need a reasonably powered flash gun is there is 1.5 f-stops worth of light wasted. Wasted, because when that flash fires, there's 1.5 f-stops worth going that way, which is doing absolutely nothing at all to the photograph. It's wasted light, it's shooting through there, and it's all wasted over there. So if you only have a very small flash gun with not a lot of power, a soft brolly, you would lose, it would be 6 weeks at f4, the exposure. You fire the flash and wait until the bugger come around. And that's where the solid brolly comes in, because you're going to maximize its power. Everything you put into the solid brolly is going to come back. So if you've only got a low powered flash gun, you need a solid brolly. If you've got a more powerful unit, then a soft brolly is the best. Then the other argument I hear people say is, well, fill the shadows. And a lot of people, and I wish I had a pound for every person I've seen it, they always put 2 lights up in front of a model, one either side of the camera. What for? When you're outside, there's only one sun. There's not 2 suns, there's not one there and there for your lighting, there's only one sun. So you need one source of light. in that instance, the brolly, because it's got this curvature to it, it fills its own shadows. If I put that on there, let's try and illustrate that to you. If I put that on there as a direct light onto Celia, now see, if you see how hard those shadows are now, and how the detail's gone in the hair down here, it's very hard, what I call bitchy lighting, very bitchy. So a soft umbrella fills its own shadows. You don't need a second light in front of a model. And that first portrait you saw of the girl with the fur was taken with a similar setup to that, except it wasn't a studio flashlight, it was just a hammer gun. But it was just a single soft brolly, plain background, nothing on the back. In this instance though, I'll talk about backgrounds later on. I will mention a little bit here. If we take an exposure to work out what that exposure is now, and let's say it's f8, if I took the same reading from the background, it's probably going to be f4. And people say, why do you use a grey background? Because that background I can make pure white or I can make jet black, depending how much or how little light I put on it. So if I took a meter and I metered Celia there, it would be f8. But if it's f4 at the background and I take my picture at f8, what's going to happen to go to the background? It's going to be 2 stops darker than what you see there. So you will almost have a black background. If you want a black background, what you then do is use a fast shutter speed. Because if you use a slow shutter speed, it might pick up any ambient light and give you a tone in the background. If you want a black background, use a 500th of a second. 500th of a second f8, you'd get absolutely nothing on the background. It'd be jet black. I'll guarantee you that it would be jet black. In the old days when you had 35mm and large format cameras, 35mm was a focal plane shutter. And with flash, you had a fixed shutter speed of about a 90th of a second, somewhere around about that. That was fixed. With a compare shutter, between the lens shutter on large format, you could set your shutter speed at a 500th. So it was easier to control your background on a large format than it could on 35mm. Right. So we're quite happy with taking the picture like that. The next thing we need to look at is camera angle. Now, a lot of people said it just basically the way I've got it there. Now, if Celia just looks at the camera, just look straight at the camera. If you look very carefully, can you see that the pupil of the eye is cut through by the bottom eyelid? Look carefully. Keep looking at the camera, Celia. Now, if I just take a pencil or anything, and I want you to watch the screen on this point. Just watch that, Celia. Now, I'll do it so the camera can't see it. Watch the eyes. Lower your chin just a little bit, Celia. Not chin down. That's it. Now watch the eyes. Follow the stick. Just with the eyes. Come on, watch that. Just with your eyes. Keep your chin down. Now, can you see how big those pupils have become there to what are there? See the pupil in the eye? So I always recommend that the camera be above eye height. This is not my tripod, so see what we've got. I like the camera to be slightly above eye height, and then if you just lower your chin and look up, just chin down, look up, ooh, look at that. Now those eyes are far more, if you look at that pupil, it's now a full circle and it's not cut through by the bottom eyelid. And so many portraits you see where the eyes are narrowed, it's because the camera angle is at eye level or below and the girl's head is tipped back. You end up looking up noses, which is not the most attractive place to look at. If you just need to get the girl to drop her chin and eyes up slightly, it doesn't have to be very much, and you get beautiful big saucer-like eyes like that, rather than, watch my finger, Celia, just watch my finger there. See the difference? A lot of people don't notice that. They don't notice that. It makes a hell of a difference to the eyes and makes them a circle as opposed to cut off top and bottom of the eyelids. So it's something you have to watch very carefully.